Josh. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. Last time I saw you, spoke to you, was it in Minneapolis?
Yes, that was actually our first time that we got to talk. And then around the release of the Best of Dragonforce compilation, we got to talk again, also promoting Prog Power appearance.
That's it. That was the first time I met you, right, in person?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Minneapolis. Yeah. There you go. Refreshing my memory. Cool.
Oh, yes. That amazing tour that you did with Camelot, so that amazing co-headlining set.
Yeah, that was a fun tour. I love those guys. They're really nice, genuine guys, so I enjoy, touring with them.
Oh, yes. And in that time, you guys have done some amazing stuff. Not only just putting out an amazing best of collection, but of course, talking about the brand new album, Reaching into Infinity, coming out May 19th through Metal Blade.
Yeah, that was, this album, I guess, is a kind of a continuation of Maximum Overload, meaning, we're reaching further and adding more diversity in the music, trying to create, obviously Dragonforce sound, but even more elements that we're able to fit in and still sounding like us that I believe fans haven't heard from us before.
Yeah, and that's what I love about you guys. I mean, every album, to me, there's always some significance to it. I mean, there's always something that you can pull apart that's different from every album. And with this one, I mean, it's easily the most diverse of yet, but it still has that core sound of Dragonforce.
Yeah, I think whatever we do these days, when we get together and play the songs, they just sound like Dragonforce. I mean, obviously, we're not playing pop music like a Katy Perry song. I mean, maybe if we play that, it would probably end up sounding Dragonforce anyway. But, it's just somehow the way we play, have everyone, the way we're able to play together for so many years, everyone understand each other when you play.
Yeah, I mean, also considering that you guys have gone through a few lineup changes over the last decade, I mean, it's great to see that this core foundation of the band right now is really syncing together.
Yeah, I guess the main Fred been in the band for over 10 years, even though it wasn't in the band's first album, for example. So it's just kind of like continuous build up of working together more and more and understanding each other. What I've learned these days is we understand each other in a way that we're able to get the most out of each band member that we couldn't do before. So we're learning and to use the strength and work around the weaknesses of each person, each musician.
Was there any significant moments like that when recording the album, or did just like everything start to sync together?
It doesn't sync together immediately, everything, but when something goes wrong, we talk about it and we always work out a solution to it. And I kind of, I'm more chilled out these days when it comes to working because I know now that we can always find a solution around things. At the beginning, you're kind of a bit worried of things because you don't know, how everyone's going to work together. Now you can find a solution. It kind of gives you less stress when you make an album.
That's a very important thing, and it does sometimes take that time to be able to realize that you can come to that conclusion. Just like you said, when you first start out, I mean, there's always that fear of making sure everything sounds right, making sure everything is the way that you want it to go. But the more that you get that freedom of knowing what the band is all about, the more that you can just relax and be able to enjoy at your own pace.
Yeah, I guess it's just like you playing a football team or something. You guys people work better once they've done more and rehearse more and practice more. And the more you grow up, the more you understand how to work with people. I think it's a skill that you have to learn. When you're in a band, when you're like 16, for example, it's not, you don't know, not only you don't know how to work with musicians, you don't actually know how to work with people in a way. Yeah.
Oh, of course, with G just coming into the band now, playing drums a couple years back, what do you feel that he brought into the new album?
After touring for Maximum Overload, G have really fitted in, and at the same time, G used to do, he had like videos of him doing Dragonforce cover on his YouTube channel, so he was very familiar with the music, coming, from the beginning, and being on tour together is the fastest way to learn how we work together faster than doing rehearsals. You can do rehearsals for months and months and make an album. It's nothing like doing months and months of touring and making an album. So he's not afraid to show his playing on stage or on the album. And I think on the upcoming tour, fans can really see
Mm-hmm.
shine another level higher when it comes to the live performance.
Oh yes, and having the experience of seeing you guys so many times over the years, that I can only imagine with touring behind such a great diverse of album as this one coming out on May 19th. I mean, I can only imagine that the shows are going to be even more fun than before.
Yeah, it's it makes the set easier with the way the last 3 albums turned out, because the first 4 albums were actually quite difficult to make a live show. The reason is every single song was fast, and when I mean fast, it's faster than most other bands. So, and they're all like 6 minutes, 7 minute, 8 minute songs. So to make a live show and to keep the audience attention, some of the people who are not as familiar with us, or new fan, or just got into it, it's more difficult. With the last 3 albums, we have a selection of songs at a different tempo that we can really break the set down and change things around and change the mood around it to keep the fast song still interesting and still the energy when it comes back in. So now it's just makes the show even better. Of course, we have improved as performance too.
And with last year, with doing those amazing performances of the Best of Dragonforce set, I mean, did that inspire anything that went into the album?
Not really. But every time we make an album, we actually listen to the old stuff just to see what we've done. Look at all these albums, these different snapshots of our life and how we got better or what we improved on. And so I guess this making that best of before we kind of got into the new album.
So with that, I mean, when you go back and listen to what you've done previously, do you make it a conscious effort to try to do something different or to capture a sound from the past?
Have to make a conscious effort. Whatever we do comes out that way. We know what's going to be, what Dragonforce sound's going to be like. It's became a kind of a natural thing, actually.
Yeah, and just again with all the experience of being in the band and so many members that have been a part of the band for so very long. I mean, that I'm sure that natural feeling has got to be there. But there's also sometimes always that pressure of being able to write new songs as well. But I'm glad to see that pressure isn't there.
Yeah, I think you always have to find a way to not think about pressure, because it doesn't really help. And I think growing up into this, not growing up, but growing with the band, and it's kind of a weird thing, and just doing it long enough, you understand the pressure is good to help you do things, but in a way you have to find a way to not be pressurized. It's kind of a weird contradicting thing, but because if you're under pressure, some people perform better under pressure, but you're still better, more relaxed, I think. So, I think the pressure makes you do something, but then you don't think about the pressure and just do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Hope it makes sense. Maybe people say it makes no sense. Doesn't matter. Post your comment. Just say he talks nonsense. Or whatever.
There's the Blabbermouth title right there. Herman Li talks nonsense about new album.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the new album, I noticed that there hasn't been a single released yet. Is there going to be a single coming up in the near future before the album release?
There will be some songs popping up on the internet from us very soon. So there will be one possibly next week. So people just need to keep an eye on it. But we obviously will be releasing some songs for people to check out what's coming their way.
Oh, awesome. Well, last week I was fortunate enough to be able to get a stream of the album, and I've been listening to it every day, really divulging myself into everything that's going on, and just like seeing how much you guys have grown as a band. I mean, just like there's so many new influences that I'm hearing from you guys, so many new ideas that just fit so perfectly well, whether you're writing 11-minute epics or you're just writing some really great single songs. I mean, it's just an overall fantastic album.
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, I think some people have, because of the first 4 albums of being all kind of fast, epic, every song fast with loads of solos, and we try to put a stamp on exactly what our style is and developed it that way. People didn't know that we can do actually much more than that. We have musicians that have been classically trained in the band, from classical guitar to classical piano, so we can actually do a lot of stuff. But only now, I believe, the last few albums we're starting to bring that in, but the reason is it has to come in naturally instead of just forcing stuff in because we can play different stuff. So it took time to develop it into the Dragonforce sound.
Oh yeah, and I find that to be so important as well. I mean, there are some bands who can do great things with writing in the exact same style for every album, but I really love it when a band really does showcase what they're capable of in diversity and making great songs and making them very cohesive as well. And just like you said with the last few albums, I mean, you guys have really been pulling that off, and with Reaching Into Infinity, I mean, it's got to be one of my favorites so far from you guys.
Cool, thanks. Glad you like it.
Oh, absolutely. And one thing that I did happen to notice when I was listening to the album for the first time, I wasn't necessarily looking at the track listing, but I recognized a riff that I heard from my younger years as the very last track. And noticing the length and everything, it just so happened to be Evil Dead by Death. How did that cover come about?
Well, I guess we just wanted to do something different and unexpected. No one expected us to do a cover like that. And just like we did when we did the Johnny Cash cover on the Maximum Overload, people going, what the hell was that? And of course we love Death. I mean, it's such an awesome legendary band. So it's kind of we thought we'd try and see if we can kind of do it justice and give our own style to it. And at the same time, this opens, when you do something different that you haven't done before, you put new challenges and you kind of get better when you finish it. So Mark, no one ever heard Mark sing that way before, on previous albums, and it's just it helps us grow and fine tune our other techniques.
Yeah, and I just gotta say it from a fan perspective, it is so cool to be able to hear a song like Evil Dead done in a Dragonforce style, because I never would have thought of that song being done in that way, but the more I listen to it, the more I hear all the aspects of what you guys are doing with it, and staying true to the original but making it your own. It's such a fantastic cover.
Thanks. I mean, there'll be plenty of people that's gonna say how much it suck. So it's good to hear some positivity. It's always good. I mean, so far I haven't heard anyone complain about it, but hey, once it gets on, once people start talking about it, they can complain all day long, because whatever you do, there's always gonna be some haters complaining. So it'll be interesting to see what they have to say. I mean, I always find it kind of entertaining, how people slag bands off, including ours. It's always kind of fun, actually. But hey,
well, that's what it's
a twisted sense of humor.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, to me, that's what it's about. I mean, if you're going to do a cover, you either want to pay tribute to the band that you're covering, or you want to have fun with the song that you're playing. And with this, it's both, obviously. I mean, it's such a fun cover of obviously there are going to be some diehard Death fans or people out there who just don't like Dragonforce that are just going to crap all over it just because they need something to do on the internet. But for someone like me who can love Death as much as I love Dragonforce, it's an amazing experience for those 3 minutes just hearing that classic scream bloody gore stuff and the sound of Dragonforce.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Glad you like it. It was fun doing it.
Oh yeah, and again, that just goes back to the awesome diversity of the album. I mean, you have songs like Silence, you got songs like The Edge of the World, which is such an amazing epic, and then ending it with the bonus track of Evil Dead. I mean, what more could you really ask for in metal?
We'll find out what people are gonna say. I mean, that's so far the reviews from all the press we've done have been very good. So reviews are cool, but it's all the own opinion of the listeners now. They decide if they want to see certain bands or if they want to see a band make another album. It's kind of crazy. Obviously the music is always in the destiny of the band's choice. I mean, it's the band's choice, the destiny if they want to make another album. Not you thought, but not really, because it's.
Yeah, and that brings up a great concept. It's whether it's negative or positive reactions, you're still getting reactions, and the best way to not care about something, to really make something go away, is to not talk about it. And if that'd be a sign that people aren't enjoying it as much. But if there is like all of this talk about the new album, then it's obviously going to bring in some new fans, some old fans, and everything in between.
Yeah, it's good to. People always want to have an opinion, so they can all tell me what they think. I don't mind.
Over the last couple times I've been talking to you, I've always been curious about the new guitar techniques that you're working on. Since the last time we talked last year, what have you been working on?
I'm not sure, actually. I mean, what I did on this album was, and I started doing on the last album, is I get a bunch of how to say, I read lessons, I read books, I read guitar stuff, and I read about the theory of the guitar. A lot of different musicians or different great guitar players would approach a guitar. So learning the theory of them, or learning a little piece of music and try to copy it, because better, I would say. And there's no one theory that's right, so you're kind of learning a bit from everybody. I don't know, it's like case studies.
Oh, and speaking of that, is there like any particular examples of putting the theory to use on the new album?
I mean, I tried. I mean, the approach on this album, some of the solos I tried really is have a really live feel. That means really letting loose and not have to worry about anything about little imperfections of noise and things. I mean, I used to be really obsessed about guitar noises. I mean, as apart from making weird guitar noises sound like video game or something, but also string little imperfection noise, and I would do the solo again until all these little noises are gone off my strings that slightly loose or not muted properly. And on this album, I left a few of them in there, and there wasn't really any problem. It just actually makes it kind of a bit more energetic and cooler, a bit more old school like energy kind of solos than just trying to be perfect all the time.
Yeah, and I can always appreciate that too. I mean, that also gives more of a live feeling as well, because when anything like that happens live, you can't necessarily go back and play that part over. I mean, you just gotta forge through it. So it's cool to see that in a studio aspect as well, and just having that live feeling behind the solos.
Yeah, I'm touring a lot of the time when I play these live shows, I think the live version of these leads were actually better than the album. I just couldn't reproduce the same feeling sometimes, I thought, on the album, of the energy, like the bends and the vibrato, just the energy you put into it. It wasn't perfect, but it feels right. So when we did the album actually comes with a DVD, which was a few songs filmed in Woodstock in Poland, and that was a really energetic show, and you can really hear it. I mean, you can hear all the little noise on the guitar, the scratches, the little, and it just sounds right. Sometimes it doesn't have to be perfect, like the old classic albums that you listen to, this old classic metal or rock albums. Those noises are part of the personality of the song and the band, actually.
Yeah, and I'm definitely hearing that this time around as well. I mean, it just takes me back to seeing you guys at Prog Power, and seeing you guys with Camelot, and seeing you guys at First Avenue headlining. I mean, just like all these great shows, and just capturing that live experience and integrating that more into the studio work is got to make those songs even more fun to play live when it comes to the new album.
Yeah, it also makes the studio work less how to say, not boring, but it makes the studio work a bit more fun, because you realize you don't have to stare at the computer and analyze everything you play, and you're using your ear to analyze, which is actually good. Sometimes, obviously you use your ears anyway, but when you have a computer screen in front of you and you can see exactly what you played, analyzed on the computer in the waveform, you can go, oh, well, I did not play perfectly in time at that point. And it's kind of like, it's good to close your eyes, just don't care what the computer have to tell you, just listen to it and let your brain, your ears tell you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what matters most, is what your ears hear and how it sounds to you. And if both of those sound good, then that's all you need.
Yeah, and when you're mixing a DVD or live video footage, you have to listen to the music closing your eyes, because sometimes the video would give you an illusion that it sounds better than what it is. Then you go, oh shit, the mix doesn't sound that good. You have to close your eyes to mix it. Then you watch the video after you done a good sound on the mix. That's what I learned.
Oh, definitely. Well, in speaking of that live experience, and of course the new album coming out, what are the plans for 2017?
Of course, it's the tour. We'll get to the US actually around July, because we're starting off in Asia first and going through Australia, New Zealand, and make our way to the West Coast. And we working on a bunch of shows, West Coast to East Coast, for this year, for this album. So if they miss it, we won't be back. So make sure they don't.
Oh, and that's awesome to hear. I mean, starting off in Australia and hitting all these great territories around the world. I mean, it's got to be an awesome feeling to be able to travel all the way around the world promoting brand new music.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we've done a lot of intensive tours for so many years. So I guess it's going to be another intense tour with lots of shows. it's good to be able to get get the tour to be close to the release, so you actually, when fans see you, the album is new and not 1 year old, kind of like 1 year old new album. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and it's always good to make that a focus of the set too. I mean, not necessarily having to play the whole album in its entirety, but just letting people know like some of the best points of the album in a live setting, and just making sure that people go out and check out the brand new album, because it's definitely one that deserves that recognition, both from the studio and in a live setting.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I guess let's see what they think.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, again, Herman, thank you so very much for taking the time to talk to me once again. My third time being able to talk to you, and my 297th interview overall, so it's an honor to have you talking again. Talking about the brand new album, which comes out in May through Metal Blade, and of course some amazing touring that's going to be happening. Hopefully that hits around the Minnesota area, because I would definitely love to hear these songs live.
I hope definitely we'll be down there somewhere in Minnesota somewhere. As far as I know, we're going to be coming, but hopefully nothing will change, but we're working on that one.